Hey everyone, it's Marks here, but today's video is brought to you by Ed. He wanted to dive deep into some of the most bizarre scandals in tech history, stories you might not believe actually happened. We're talking facepalm moments, shady practices, and straight up, what were they thinking? Decisions. So, grab your popcorn, settle in, and get ready to be mind blown because we're about to uncover some seriously wild stuff. Alright, first up, we're going back to 2006 with HP, a company you probably know for printers and maybe even the occasional laptop. Well, back then, they were caught in a scandal that would make even James Bond blush. They were using something called pretexting, which is basically a fancy word for impersonating someone to get information. Think about it. Creating fake identities, making up elaborate lies, all to access phone records. They even went after journalists. It was a whole cloak and dagger operation, except instead of saving the world, they were trying to plug leaks. Talk about a PR nightmare, the fallout was massive. We're talking resignations, apologies, even criminal charges. It just goes to show even tech giants can get caught with their hands in the cookie jar, especially when the cookies are private phone records. Remember AOL, that internet service provider your parents probably used to have? Back in 1998, they were the big dogs on campus, and they decided to merge with Netscape, the company behind the then-dominant Netscape Navigator browser. The idea? Create an internet powerhouse, a titan of the digital age. What happened? It went about as smoothly as a phone call on dial-up. Netscape's browser, once the king of the web, quickly lost ground to Internet Explorer, thanks in part to Microsoft's, shall we say, aggressive tactics. The merger became a cautionary tale in the tech world, a reminder that even the biggest players can stumble, and sometimes bigger isn't always better. Moving on to 2005, a year that saw the rise of YouTube and the launch of the Xbox 360. But amidst all that tech excitement, Sony BMG decided to play a little game of hide-and-seek with its customers. The game, see if they could sneak something called a rootkit onto people's computers without them noticing. The catch? This wasn't some harmless prank. A rootkit is basically spyware that can track your activity and even open the door to hackers. And how did they try to pull this off? Through music CDs. Yeah, you heard that right. They figured if you were rocking out to your favorite tunes, you wouldn't notice a little extra software hitching a ride. The backlash was swift and brutal. People were outraged that Sony would try to pull a fast one like that. Lawsuits were filed, fines were levied, and Sony had to do a lot of apologizing and software patching to try and regain some trust. Chapter 4. Facebook's beacon, oversharing gone wrong. Let's be real, Facebook has had its fair share of scandals, but the Beacon program back in 2007 was a whole other level of oops. The idea was to let users share their activity on other websites with their Facebook friends, just in case someone missed the fact that you just bought a new pair of shoes online. Sounds innocent enough, right? Well, the problem was, Facebook didn't really ask for permission. They just kind of assumed it was cool, which, spoiler alert, it wasn't. People were furious. Privacy advocates cried foul, users felt betrayed, and the internet collectively went nope. Facebook, facing a mountain of criticism and a class action lawsuit, decided to shut down Beacon and issue a public apology. It was a harsh lesson in the importance of transparency and user consent, something that, well, they'd have to relearn a few more times in the years to come. Chapter 5. Ashley Madison, When Secrets Get Exposed. Now, for a scandal that rocked the very foundation of trust and infidelity, the Ashley Madison hack of 2015. For those who don't know, Ashley Madison was a website that catered to people seeking extramarital affairs, with the slogan, "Life is short, have an affair." Well, it seems someone took that slogan a little too seriously because the site got hacked. And I'm not talking about a couple of passwords here. We're talking millions of user accounts, real names, addresses, even their deepest, darkest secrets, all dumped online for the world to see. The fallout was devastating. Marriages crumbled, reputations were ruined, and tragically, there were even reports of suicides linked to the hack. It was a stark reminder that in the digital age, privacy is a fragile thing, and sometimes the things we try to hide have a way of coming to light in the most explosive ways possible. Chapter 6, eBay Harassment Auction. Alright, buckle up because this next one is straight out of a horror movie. We're talking about eBay, the online auction site, But instead of bidding on vintage toys or rare sneakers, we're dealing with something far more sinister. A campaign of harassment orchestrated by their own executives. The target? A couple who ran an online newsletter critical of eBay. Their crime? Well, journalism, basically. But instead of responding with a strongly worded letter or maybe a Twitter rant, eBay's execs decided to take things to a whole other level. They sent disturbing items to the couple's home: live insects, a funeral wreath, even a book on surviving the death of a spouse. It was harassment on a whole new level, a bizarre and twisted tale that exposed a dark underbelly of corporate retaliation. Several eBay employees, including some high-level executives, faced criminal charges, and eBay itself had to do some serious soul-searching and policy revising to try and repair its tarnished image. Chapter 7. Google's AI Dilemma. Even Google, the company that wants to organize the world's information, isn't immune to controversy. Back in 2017, they found themselves in hot water over Project Maven, a Pentagon initiative that involved using artificial intelligence to analyze drone footage. Now, AI and drones are already a touchy subject, but what really set people off was the fact that Google, a company known for its "Don't Be Evil" motto, was involved in a military project. Thousands of Google employees signed a petition protesting the company's involvement, arguing that it crossed an ethical line. Some employees even resigned in protest, sparking a wider debate about the role of tech companies in developing military technologies. Google eventually decided to pull out of Project Maven, but the controversy left a mark, raising questions about the ethical implications of AI and the responsibility of tech giants in a world increasingly reliant on their innovations. Chapter 8. Uber's Sneaky Rides. Uber, the ride-hailing giant, has built its empire on disrupting the taxi industry, but sometimes those disruptions went a little too far. Enter Greyball, a software tool that Uber used to, shall we say, manage its relationship with law enforcement. In cities where Uber was facing regulatory hurdles or outright bans, Greyball allowed them to identify and evade authorities. Think about it. You open the Uber app thinking you're going to hail a ride, but little do you know, the app knows you're a city official and shows you a fake version with phantom cars that never arrive. It was like a real-life game of cat and mouse, except the cat had an algorithm on its side. Uber's justification? They were just trying to level the playing field. But critics argued that it was a blatant attempt to circumvent the law and operate above the rules. The company faced investigations, fines, and a whole lot of bad press, proving that even in the fast-paced world of ride-sharing, you can't outrun scrutiny forever. Chapter 9. Zuckerberg's pre-Facebook faceplant. Last but not least, we have to go back to the early days of Mark Zuckerberg, before Facebook was even a thing. We're talking about 2003, when a young Zuckerberg, then a student at Harvard, created a website called FaceMash. Sounds innocent enough, right? Well, the catch was that FaceMash wasn't your average social networking site. It was basically a hot or not game that used photos of Harvard students without their permission. And how did Zuckerberg get those photos? By hacking into Harvard's computer system. Yeah, not exactly the most ethical move. FaceMash was quickly shut down, and Zuckerberg faced disciplinary action from Harvard. It was a scandal that foreshadowed the privacy concerns that would later plague Facebook, a reminder that even tech geniuses can make some questionable decisions in their pursuit of, well, whatever it was Zuckerberg was pursuing back then. Chapter 10, Tech Scandals. The saga continues. And there you have it, folks. The tech world is full of bizarre scandals that often fly under the radar. From sneaky software to corporate espionage to straight-up bad decisions, these stories show that the pursuit of innovation can sometimes lead to some ethically questionable places. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to Ed's channel for more deep dives into the tech world, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss out on future uploads. Catch you in the next one.